All right. So the fight is over. I was sort of wrong in this fight. I got the prediction correct, but I thought this would be more of a challenge for Shevchenko. This was not much of a challenge for Shevchenko. Now, I was looking for some of the people's comments in the comment section, but the one of them that I was looking for, I can't find. Where somebody was like, "Oh, I don't know what you're worried about. Weili's gonna win this." And I just saw a poll on somebody's channel. That Italian MMA guy, I can't think of his name right. It's MMA something. He took a poll asking people who they think would win. There was almost 1,500 votes. Almost 1,500 votes. Do you know most of them picked Weili to win this fight? Out of nearly 1,500 votes, the majority of them picked Weili. I casted a vote, and I voted for Shevchenko, and I was shocked. I just knew that the majority would pick Shevchenko. Shevchenko. But no, they thought Weili would win. Now, I know a lot of them chose Weili because they wanted her to win. But man, that's crazy. Now, there are comments in the comment section of all of our videos, everybody who's made videos about this, and you can see certain people who giving their breakdown as to why they think Weili will win the fight. Now, of all the advantages that Weili has at strawweight, they don't translate. First of all, to 125. Second of all, Shevchenko at 125. This was not that competitive. Despite how boring some people may thought it was, it wasn't competitive. People who said that Weili's style would play into Shevchenko's hands were correct. Anytime they struck, that is what it looked like. All that bouncing around and flickering out jabs that you don't intend to land, that was a bad idea. But it wasn't about what Weili did that cost her the fight. I personally don't believe that anything she would have done would have won her that fight. She probably could have made it more competitive had she used different tactics, but she doesn't have the takedown defense. She doesn't have the ability to get back to her feet. Okay? And she doesn't seem nearly as strong as Shevchenko. Now, I didn't know. None of us knew. But I thought that it would be more competitive than this, period. Even though I was taking Shevchenko to win. It's just Shevchenko's style, the patient style. It's difficult for a style like Weili's to overcome. I mean, there was a reason why I've always taken Shevchenko. I've been talking about this fight for years. Made a prediction about this fight years ago and talked about it several times. And I've never changed my pick. I've always stuck with Shevchenko. It seemed almost common sense when you look at their style, that Weili's style of fighting was going to play into Shevchenko's hands. Also, Weili's tactics have to be questioned. I'm talking about on the feet. It didn't look well thought out. Her attacks did not seem well thought out at all. Also, Compare Grazo's success to Weili's. Doesn't Grazo seem like a more measured striker than Weili? A more precise striker than Weili? Who picks her shots better than Weili? On top of having a better reach. I told y'all that reach would be a factor. Couldn't you tell? That's why Weili had such a problem closing the distance. Throwing out those flickering jabs that she was throwing out that she knew wouldn't land. Go back and watch Weili's fight against Carla Esparza. You're going to notice she was not throwing out this. She was landing jabs on Carla. She was landing jabs, straight right hands. She could utilize her boxing more effectively, more like a real boxer could against a Carla Esparza, because that reach advantage wasn't there for Carla. It was there majorly for Shevchenko. Another thing, somebody in the comment section pointed out that Shevchenko was taller than Weili. She was about an inch taller, according to the records. This was 5'5" against 5'4". That's no difference at all. You're basically the same height. 5'5" against 5'4", you're basically the same height. You being an inch taller is not going to give you no advantage in the fight at all. Who was that left that comment? Let me see if I can find this real quick. They left this comment, and then there was almost a discussion about it. Like, yeah, where is it? Oh, this video right here, where I do my size comparison. It wasn't the height that was going to give Shevchenko an advantage. It was the reach. Having a 1-inch height advantage doesn't mean that you should have a 3-inch reach advantage. Sometimes the reach is the same for people who differ in height by 1 inch. Sometimes the shorter fighter has the longer arms. Your arm length and reach is not so much predicted by your height. It's right here, where he says Shevchenko is taller than Weili. Somebody said at least 2 inches. No, it's 1 inch. And you really couldn't tell by looking at him. This person said it's not MMA who's taller wins. The same poster said that wasn't the purpose of my post. I was actually criticizing statements made by the author of this entire post because height and arm length don't really matter in MMA, but it can, which is why those things are called advantages. Her height was not an advantage. It was her reach. She was not punching down on Weili. They were essentially the same height. That reach advantage was, and the speed and everything else. Shevchenko's timing, her patience, while Weili's attacks was more wild and frantic and anxiety-ridden. Okay? That was just a bad look for Weili. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, I don't know why people are saying this, like, hey, Weili, she could just go back to 115 and fight Mackenzie Dern. How do you know that? This chick might not be able to make that weight anymore. That's what, at least what I'm thinking. Because that was a crazy thing to do. That's why I made that video where I asked, what is she doing? Like, what are you doing? This is unnecessary. Especially when you found out that you had to relinquish your belt if you want to move up to fight Shevchenko. After they told her that, I'm like, yeah, no, never mind. You mean tell me if I lose, I can't go back to 115 and still be a champion? Never mind. But she relinquished it anyway. I'm like, what the what? She must be unable to make the weight. She basically gave up her title, in my mind, because you can't make the weight. That's the only reason why you would give up the title. I cannot make this weight anymore. It's killing me. I feel horrible when I'm at 115, despite the fact that I'm winning my fights. I feel horrible at this weight. You watch, see what I tell you. If she go back down to 115 with no problem, then wow. Then what I said about her was true. The fact that she wanted to fight Shevchenko just because she wanted to fight Shevchenko. Which again is crazy to me. That's just crazy. Maybe after you both exhausted your options and there was no other interesting fight other than Shevchenko, okay, maybe then. But yeah, we'll see what Weili does after this. This is what I want to see. Are you going to stay at flyweight? Are you going to retire? If she retires, then that would mean she can't make strawweight anymore. But if she goes back to strawweight, that would mean she just had this burning desire to fight Shevchenko, which again was crazy. Shevchenko, and look at what this fight shows you. Who would take Weili over Grasso? Looking at this fight, would you take Weili over Grasso? I think a lot of people would take Grasso over Weili. A more well thought out offense. And a lot of people underestimate Grasso for whatever reason. But she's accomplished more against Shevchenko than anybody else. Somebody who also mentioned that Manon against Shevchenko wasn't. Yes, that was a close fight. That was a close fight. Shevchenko wasn't doing much in that fight. And this fight raises Manon's stock, in my opinion. Because at least Manon has never been laid and preyed on and ragdoll like Alexa Grasso and now Weili Zhang. Before, the fighter who gave Shevchenko her toughest push was Taylor Santos. Now it's Manon. And if Manon stops her next opponent, if she continues to get stoppages, because as you see, once again, Shevchenko was unable to get a stoppage. She hasn't had a stoppage in I don't know how long. If Manon I'm telling you, if Manon gets just one more stoppage, there's a good chance she'll get a title shot after Natalia Silva. Now, speaking of Natalia Silva, I'm going to predict that Silva will do much better against Shevchenko than Weili just did. I think the style that she uses is more fit to be successful against Shevchenko. I think her style in general, temperament, you almost guarantee she's going to do a better job against Shevchenko than Weili Zhang. But this can't give Natalia Silva that much confidence. I believe one of the reasons why she was an observer here is because Silva is going to get the winner. I believe Dana White and UFC promised Silva the winner no matter who it would be. Even if Weili was to take the belt, I think they've assured her that she's next. I expect her to be next. And I expect her to have a better chance against Shevchenko. Now, I'm not even going to say who I'm going to pick right now. But the fact that I thought Weili would do better than this feels like I got a prediction wrong. It feels like I made just an incorrect prediction because I got that part wrong, even though I picked Shevchenko in the fight. So Shevchenko is still a high-level elite fighter. It's just that every now and then she's going to run up against styles and fighters that's going to give her more trouble. That's really what it's looking like here. So, yeah, on to the next. And I'm going to leave it here and tune into the main event.